Hello, and welcome back to the Earthbound Super Series. We're now into brackets. This is going to be a race against AndyPerfect versus Lord Taco. I'm going to be doing your commentary. I'm Ari. Hello. We'll be getting started very shortly here. I can see the race room is already counting down. For your late night comms. It's late for me, okay? You have an angel on comms. I'm gonna pipe in that song through Discord. It'll sound great. Would you call my name? That is not Buck Bumble. Are you listening to me, Andy? All right. So for anybody that's not aware, I'll go ahead and say it. This is the Boogey Percent tournament. So this is going to be Earthbound. This is just regular old vanilla Earthbound. It's a speed run to get to the Boogie tent, defeat him, and grab the fly honey. So this will probably be a run somewhere between an hour and a half or so. Literally 1 hour would be like world record. Hour and a half would probably be among the longest times in the tournament so far. Ooh, that would be tempting. No, I won't make everybody listen to Buck Bumble. Can't burn everybody out on it. Trust me. Trust me. I'm ready. Well, if Temple makes you listen, I can't control that. I wouldn't say anything. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking, Slug. So I'm just kind of, this is all just fluff. This walk up the hill and back down is pretty rigid. Yeah, like perfect movement versus like novice movement. You might save a couple seconds on against each other. Otherwise, at about 4 minutes and 20 seconds, roughly, easy number to remember. That's when you'll actually have spawns and you'll be doing the hill climb for real, and then we'll see some interesting stuff maybe happening. So I'll go ahead and also take this time to plug that we're going to have a lot of our tournament matches this week. I am aware of at least 2 matches tomorrow on the 26th, maybe 3, and 3 matches on the 27th, which is Friday. And I think there's also a match scheduled for the 29th. Sure, as far as backgrounds for each runner go, Andy has been around for all time. That's not entirely true, but he's been around for a very long time. He's been around longer than me, and I feel like I've been around forever. Lord Taco is relatively new compared to Andy. However, Lord Taco is kind of actively running, and Andy is less active. That's not to say that Andy is rusty or doesn't know things. He, for example, still goes through and watches and checks off the speedruns that get submitted, so that's a whole thing. And that's why Andy is scary. He is the OG. But is he as fresh and up to date on all of the hottest, latest tech as Lord Taco? Well, we'll find out. Not to mention the RNG of this game too. That's really part of it too. Both runners get perfect RNG, then it comes down to skill and execution. Both runners get bad RNG, then it also comes down to how well can you manage bad situations and mitigate what the game is thrown at you. Andy got you into watching speedruns 10 years ago. Andy, I think was the run that I looked at, the one run that I looked at before I did an Earthbound speedrun. I watched Zost playing Super Metroid, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. Does anybody speedrun Earthbound? And I saw Andy. So Andy, okay, we're actually on the hill climb here. I'll point this out. So Andy knows that when the crow is wedged right up against that bush, you almost always will the enemies will swing out to the right before moving to the left, and if he's already up against that bush, he can't really swing out to the right, so he's actually stuck there. So that's a safe spawn to run around. Lord Taco taking advantage of the terrain and getting his crow pinned on a tree instead. Both effective strategies. There's OG. Oxwas or yeah, has been around also for a very long time. I'm not sure. Were you around before? Like, let's see, Skate Man, I think was still before Andy. And then Mickey Mage, I think, is the first real-time runner that I am aware of that like actually streamed. No, but nobody's older than Andy. That's right, Swish. How's it going? RNG manipulation. Oh, jeez. Let's see. We're through all of Annette, and we do barrier skip for any percent. You manipulate through Tucson. You can do Peaceful Rest Valley. You can actually do the second sanctuary. I'm gonna call it early. You might call it on time. I guess it kind of depends on perspective. I'm not aware of anybody carrying it all the way through Winters, though. An open mocking to the Grim Reaper. It's true. So both runners with a very good hill climb and similar strategy here. So they're both going to have pretty similar times going into Starman. So Starman here. Oh yeah, so that's a good point too, actually, Craig. So RNG manipulation is actually not allowed for Boogey percent. The idea of Boogey percent is that it's kind of an intro category to get new runners interested in trying out the game and seeing the first quarter of the game and hopefully, trying out the entire game or other categories. Um, as such, we didn't want to make it where the entire category was just like RNG manipulation and you have to perform perfectly and practice it a trillion times. No. So no RNG manipulation is allowed in Boogey percent. The Starman fight here, there's not a lot you can really do to influence this, unless you're doing RNG manip. Hey, got the 2 HP smash and took out Starman Jr. on Lord Taco's side. That is fantastic. You love to see that. But this fight's random. You're just kind of hoping to not see fires from Starman, and you're hoping for Buzz to do large amounts of damage. Unless you really, 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 really try and know how to break it, you can't lose that fight. It could just take longer, and there's nothing you could do about it. Here for the nostalgia. Hell yeah, I like it. All right, here's my one. I can't resist. My one Buck Bumble plug. If you have not seen the short of Buck Bumble terrorizing Lardnamage, you need to go watch it. It's in the Discord. If you have no idea what it is, I'll go find it and I'll post it in the chat. You didn't know what kicked off the Buck Bumble craze? It's great. It is outstanding. bump to the beat. See, now you know you're in the know. You're in the club now. Lord Taco doing the old Mr. Baseball Cap equip. If you're real quick with your menus, I think technically it's faster than going to try to sell the item. You just buy a baseball cap and then sell your replacement. Very, very small tech. You don't have to do it, especially if you're not confident in your menuing. But it'll save you, you know, fractions of a second, and sometimes that is what it comes down to. So far, thanks to the Starman Junior fight, Lord Taco's got a very small lead, but I will at this point just call it inconsequential. There's so many things that can change the lead at this point that it's a few seconds is not a big deal. Both runners not getting sharks on their walk over to the arcade. If you do that like exact little walk movement that you saw there, then you should not wind up with any shark spawns there. Somehow I always bumble that maneuver. Couldn't resist. Homeowner percent, yeah, there's a house you can buy and want. And then, yes, you are obligated to read the magazine. You spent good money on that magazine. So these little fights here, it's you just do this as a bit of a grind before you fight Frank. That's all this is about. And Lord Taco getting the business from the S-Man Jr. That's unfortunate. But it can happen. Yes Man Jr. can bash for, what, up to 12, I suppose, if you don't have anything. He does a lot of turn wastes, and he even has a punch that is a weak attack, but if he swings his hula hoop around, that is a strong attack, and it can be lethal, especially if you're under 12. So low-key there, Andy actually took a big risk when he bashed again at only 11 HP. He could have easily just had the same Death Lord Taco had. But he didn't, so it worked out for him. You did. You missed the betting. I tried to time it such that the bettings would be done before the first possible death, really. Unless Hill Climb was really, really bad. It was intentional. Oh yeah, totally. You can play as risky as you want, right? But and that's something I struggle with, having played the game for 1 trillion years. That's when this game came out, was 1 trillion BC. I think I've died to literally every stupid thing you can think of. So a lot of my strats seem like overly safe, and they probably are, but I despise dying to dumb stuff, so... So this Frankenstein Mark II is this fight is about as scary as it could be. Andy is actually out of healing items, but I think this, yeah, is lethal, so we'll be fine here. So Andy's through Frank and Frankenstein at 14-15. That's not too bad. Lord Taco is getting his Frank attempt in now, so as you can see, I mean, while the death isn't inconsequential, that's one of the smallest ones you can take, so not a big deal. You love dying to dumb stuff. Hey, I feel like we all love dying to dumb stuff to some extent if we're playing Earthbound. The fact of the matter is, you can play this game as safely as you want. If the game doesn't want you to progress, you absolutely will not progress. Like, you could get so unlucky that it doesn't matter and the game just doesn't let you through. Lord Taco getting a smash on Frankie Stein Mark II. So the fight itself, I think he actually saved a little bit of time against Andy there. So that'll kind of mitigate the effects of that early death. So both runners, approximately 1 minute apart. Which, considering everything, that's a very small amount to be separated by. This next part coming up here, both runners are going to be going into the caves and grinding for experience. You need, I'm going to say, yeah, sure, I'll say need, to be level 8 to defeat Titanic Ant without any kind of shenanigans or RNG manipulation. RPG manipulation would probably work too, I guess. If you had an RPG, you could probably take out Titanic Ant no problem. So this is a safety strat right here. I call it a safety strat. Technically, you don't have to if you don't want. You don't have to go buy burgers. You would be insane not to, but you don't have to. But if you were going for world record boogie % time and not in a race and just wanted to go as fast as possible, then don't buy burgers, I guess. Oh, I meant like rocket-propelled grenade manipulation. You got a bazooka in your back pocket, then Titanic Ant should be pretty easy. Not even randomized. I can't believe neither runner has found anything crazy. So, for those that don't know, this game also has two, I'm going to say, well-known randomizers. It has more randomizers, but there's the Ancient Cave and PK Scramble, both of which actually have channels in our Discord. Plug for our Discord. But these randos are awesome. One, so if you have not tried them and you like Earthbound, I strongly recommend checking them out. And two, I play the crap out of those, so. If you have any questions about the randomizers, feel free to ask me, and I will probably reference them. Godzilla 2, Godzilla 2 is a good time if you like strategy games on the regular Nintendo that are themed around Godzilla. They're also great if you like missile launchers to never hit their targets. Strongly recommend if you despise missile launchers. So both runners will be once again back to the same part on the screen. Andy got a head start on the slug grind and has found some slugs already. Sometimes it's a struggle to find them at the beginning. So he does have a little bit of a lead still, but for the next few minutes, both runners are going to be in the same spot. You are looking for, good lord, what is the actual number? I never count. 24 slugs sounds about right. To hit level 8, if you didn't take any extra encounters anywhere else along the way. 22 slugs. They come in packs of 4. You might get them in less, especially if there are spawns here and there. Okay, I'll go ahead and explain this mechanic as well. There was a little bit of stutter stepping on both screens. Andy was doing a little bit of stutter stepping and Lord Taco was doing a little bit of stutter stepping. Stutter stepping is this technique where you like lightly tap the D-pad so that these enemies that only move when you move, you can like move a real small amount and then they won't move. So it's a skill and there's a lot of finesse involved. And if you are really unlucky, you can just pick the wrong frame out of thin air and enemies will move anyway. So that's why I say you'll also have to kind of develop a feel for stutter stepping. Some runners are better at it than others. Some runners practice the crap out of it and feel like they're not very good and probably really are still pretty good. But like that's the last little piece of it, is that you can just start on the wrong frame too. And there's not a lot you can do about that. There's only one attack slug that matters. I mean, there are also some crazy strats out there. You don't technically have to grind on just slugs. You could mice give XP too. Antoids give XP as well. The mice are not as easy to fight, and they smash you for more damage, and it's a lot easier to take out slugs. So you probably don't want to fight a bunch of mice, but they do give XP if you were like really counting your XP. You can also fight Antoids. The issue with Antoids is that they punch for a lot, and they can heal themselves, and they can call for help. So you probably don't generally want to choose to grind on Antoids, but some people are insane and might choose it anyway. On this bottom floor here, you don't have to worry about Antoids. As long as you're in this main open area, it's just slugs and mice, and you can tell them apart. On the second and third floors, you need to kind of develop the skill of recognizing spawn plates and recognizing from where the enemies appeared on the screen. Do you think that's an ant or a slug? And are you going to be confident enough to make your choice when you go and intentionally start a fight or stutter around them? The 6 packs of slugs on the top floor are probably the easiest to recognize. But in general, it can still be risky, especially because there is a valid battle group that's a slug and an antoid, so you might just get them both in your fight anyway. And there you have it. Yeah, so even just one ant, especially if you miss your first bash and they're calling for help, they can just keep calling for help. And then at some point, you're going to be like, well, I get 1,000,000,000 XP if I finish this fight, but then you just also be dead. So, yeah. It's not quite as bad as the cultists. At least you have the option to bail if that fight goes long. You can run away. Runaway is based on the difference between your speed and enemy speed. It goes up by 10% each round. It can start negative if your speed is that much lower than the enemies. But if you're up to, Antoid G, you probably still got a 50% chance to run. But then you're committing to the time loss. Sunk cost fallacy and all. It's also a good point. If you're level 8 and you have 24 offense, then there is a chance that you will just one-shot a single Antoid. Since Andy is stuttering this thing, I'm assuming Andy does not have 24 offense. And then in the next room there were 3 ants, so it doesn't you can instant kill 1, but you can't instant kill 3. But Andy's also stuttering the single one, so must be the case. And then sometimes, if you're very unlucky, they can just spawn right on you in the door. And there's not a lot you can do about that. So that's a good reason to practice your stutter stepping in this cave. Because if you keep despawning at the door over and over and over, you may just wind up with ants right on top of you. This is how you get ants. Not saying that's what Andy did here. Andy just walked through the door and got really unlucky. Just pointing out that that is a possibility. So Andy's starting the actual Titanic ant fight. Lord Taco still doing the grind. Let's see how this ant fight goes. 112. However, he got a miss on one of the Antoids, and it healed Titanic Ant for 109. So effectively, Rockin' missed Titanic Ant first round. That is bad. However, Andy's got plenty of burgers. He's stocked up, so he can settle in for the long haul on this fight against Titanic Ant. That is why it's critical to use Rockin' first round on Titanic Ant. And if you get very unlucky, then one of those Antoids can survive, and all those Antoids know how to do is life up. They are different than the Antoids in the overworld. The only thing they know how to do is life up. Andy, though, with a lucky smash on Titanic Ant, and that'll get him through the fight. So 24, 21-ish Titanic Ant. kindest missed rockin' fight of probably any Earthbound runner's life. That's up there. Game giveth and taketh. So Andy pulling a little bit farther ahead of Lord Taco here. Lord Taco is still on the grind. I expect this is level 8 just based on my gut. My gut is the best. Look at that. Lord Taco's level 8. Now, of course, that you're level 8, there will be slugs at every spawn plate along the way. That's what Earthbound does. It's not programmed that way, it just hates you. Nice stutters there by Lord Taco to get around all those enemies. It's deceptively difficult because there are so many enemies spawned on the screen. The more enemies that are on the screen, the harder stutters become because the game gets more laggy and it may start to kind of ignore what time you pressed or released the button, is basically how I'm going to describe it. So the more enemies that spawn, the harder it gets. So to pull that off with at least 5 enemies loaded in, pretty good. No problem, Ninja. And it's also a good point. If you ever have any questions, feel free to ask them in chat. I am trying to keep up with chat as well. Andy barreling straight ahead to the Captain Strong fight. You'll have to defeat 4 cops in a row, and then you can fight Captain Strong. Okay, I'll talk about a little bit of the meta of this cop fight real quick. Since all of these fights are back to back, you don't get time to like heal in between each fight. You just do them all straight through. So there's kind of like a meta game here where you're trying to keep your HP high enough for the next fight without completely overdoing it and exhausting your resources before you get to the end. Burgers only heal for 40 to 50-ish. Life ups will almost always be a full heal. You're trying to save 20 psychic points against Captain Strong. That was a 112 rockin' on Titanic Ant for Lord Taco, so that's a very good start. I missed what the other rockin' must have been, or was there only one rockin'? Interesting. Lord Taco menuing over to that cookie and eating it. That's killed me in a run before. Dumb ways to die in Earthbound. Fight an extra Antoid, get a cookie drop. Eat that instead of a burger. So mortal damage there from Lord Taco. If you are actually that low, I would recommend just healing up a second time because Ant's strong attack can be lethal there. So this is actually pretty risky on Lord Taco's side, but it looks like with this heal, he should be back into something I consider safer. And Titanic Ant is down 28-20 for Lord Taco. Lord Taco is definitely all about the gamble. And honestly, that might be the play for Lord Taco. I would kind of expect, since Andy's been around for a billion years, that he's probably going to have very consistent strats, not do anything too crazy or risky, and just kind of truck along like he has for the last decade. So if you make a risky play and it pays off, it can be a good way to get ahead of a runner that you consider more reliable. And Rockins take out Captain Strong. Andy with a, what, 29:09:08-ish? Oh, not a very solid time. I'm an old man, and I consider anything under 34 minutes in ONET a reasonable time, but, you know, sub 30, I think, is really the goalposts these days. Taco just taking a little bonus fight there against a mouse. Sometimes they're just kind of in the way of your path. So these mushrooms, they'll come attack you if you get too close to them, but their actual like radius, their aggro radius where they'll come attack you is actually pretty small. Like a lot smaller than you might at first think. So if you have a very good feel for that, you don't necessarily have to despawn them. You can just walk around them like you saw Andy do there. The nicest feeling is when you get so close that the mushroom stands up, takes a single step, and sits back down. That you did it. You skirted the very outskirts of its radius. I'm usually not so gutsy as to try that in glitchless, but in randomizers, absolutely. Andy setting up for the traditional death warp here, it looks like. No Vogler strats today from Andy. Lord Taco taking a slightly longer walk to the police station. Whatever, it's maybe not even a second at most. Not a big deal. I always take the wrong route anyway. I can't really say anything there. Yeah, smaller than you think until you get used to the aggro radius, and then it's 1 pixel bigger than you think, and then you're running around with a mushroom on your head. Taco and the cop fights there. I think I saw one smash on Taco's side. It's always kind of nice when you can short cycle cops. 1 HP left. I mean, that is kind of how it goes sometimes, though. You have no control of your stats as they level up. The best you can do, if you're really, really dedicated, is keep an eye on it. But I certainly don't micro my information to that extent. Some people might. On Andy's side, we talked to Apple Kid. You got to give him $200 and some kind of item that somebody might vaguely consider to be food. Andy's trying to despawn that sprout. It's in the perfect spot. You can't despawn it. You got to go through the door. I don't blame him. I also try to despawn that sprout every time. But after you've handed a bunch of money and food to Apple Kid, you go wander off into Peace Rest Valley. Just look at a statue of a pencil. You ain't even gotta touch it. Just see that it exists. And then walk back, get yourself a pencil eraser, and then do Peace Forest Valley proper. Cold remedy, that's food. Salt packet, that's food. Bottle of water, that's food. Cup of life noodles, that's not food. Get out of here. Let's see this strong fight. Opting for the heal first. Strongly agree with that. Captain Strong has a regular attack that hits for 30 and a strong attack that can hit for like 60 at worst, so definitely want to heal if you're low. This is very scary for Lord Taco. Yep, and there will be a strong death for Lord Taco as well. Strong does have one move that I will call a wasted turn. He can raise his offense, but otherwise he just has weak attacks and strong attacks. And the guard. Good call, good call. He does also go on guard. I forget about that one. Andy here, choosing not to fight Everdread. That is a losing strat for Andy. Andy has won 100% of the races in which he's fought Everdread. So it's very surprising that he would choose not to fight Everdread here. You don't need to fight Everdred in this. There's what, 2 runs of Andy fighting Everdred? One was an accident where he walked too high, and then a second one where he like memed it and did it a second time. So yes, the strong death is one of the worst ones to take. I won't say the worst, but it's definitely high on the list because you're gonna have to fight all the cops again. You probably used burgers to get to that point, so you're gonna have to restock as well as do all that stuff again. So that's a nasty death to take, but it's not the worst. I would say worst is a death to like either the cultist fight outside the cabin, shack, whatever, or a death to Carpainter, because you're setting up for a death warp, so you intentionally have a very long walk back. Boogey tent, I didn't even want to talk about it. Stupid Boogey tent. It's me. I feel vindicated that at least other runners have also felt my pain of dying to Boogey tent. However, it sucks, and I don't wish that on anybody. But yes, if you die to Boogey tent twice, you are pretty much stuck in this run, where you're gonna have to settle in for a very long grind, or like reload a save, or just forfeit because you're not gonna have enough money to revive your party or get psychic points back. Andy with the dodge there on the whirling robo. A little risky, but felt pretty confident in that one myself, so I would be curious to know if Andy was also that confident, but that's a narrow passage, and it is pretty easy to get them hung up there. And a clean finish to the walk through Peace West Valley for Andy. And no Vogler strat, not even a half Vogler. And Andy stepped on the snake. Run is now cursed. -1 Ari point for Andy. All right, so here's pretty much the last defense item you're going to buy in the, well, pretty much in the entire glitchless run, but also in Boogey %. You'll buy a Holmes hat here. The cultists bash for enough damage, and you don't really quite have enough hit points to weather that damage without just a little bit more defense. That 5 points it's going to take off of each hit adds up. What is this to you? Oh no. Alright, yeah, that's pretty good. +1 Ari point. Yeah, so we're in a crow fight here. I was distracted. These crows do spawn outside the cabin. They can spawn a lot of them, and you get into a battle group with more than one of them, and they have like 63 speed or some trash, so you can't run away from them. I mean, you can. It takes at least 7 turns. Sorry, 77 speed. So let's see how this cultist fight here goes. You'll almost always open with a rock in here, because these guys can call for help and get a third or fourth buddy in here. The ideal result is that they call for help, nobody shows up, and then you just take them both out with the rock, and I've seen that before. But if you do good damage to both cultists and they haven't added extra buddies, you can just bash it out. Save your psychic points for the other cultist fight or carpainter. You want to play it safer, just do 2 Rockins. Andy eating the cookie there. There is actually a strat. I'll talk about it briefly here as kind of the overview for the overall strat. And I neglected to mention that Lord Taco is through Captain Strong and is also setting up for a traditional Death Warp in Tucson. So let's talk about this Death Warp a little bit, right? Nice transition. Thank you for not blocking the door, Janet. So the game that you're going to be trying to play here is to defeat Carpainter, number one priority. You need to get through the fight. Number 2 priority, you want to make your Death Warp back to Tucson not take 73 million years when a mole misplaces his glasses and just keeps missing over and over. So you want to try to get through the fight with Carpainter with as few HP as possible. So, if you fight a random crow and you actually get a cookie drop, you may want to save it and save it for this fight. If you're getting pretty close on Carpainter, and you know he's going to hit you for lethal, you can eat a cookie on that round instead and save yourself at 5 or 6 HP. And that's probably one of the best ways to set yourself up for a Death Warp against Carpainter. But that only works if you can actually take him out, and then if you just keep missing and he doesn't ever hit himself with lightning, and then, well, okay, well, then you're going to have to heal before he bashes, because you're not going to be able to mash out a heal at 6 HP. 69 HP, nice. So there's a lightning reflect on first turn. I expect we'll see a rock in here, and there it is. He life upped for 113, which is a heck of a lot, and the rockin' was 47. That is unfortunate. But Andy's going for it anyway. Here's another rockin'. That counters the rest of that incredible life up. And another lightning reflect. So Carpainter's pretty close. One bash should, yep, and one bash did it. So that's about the best you can hope for with this fight with Carpainter. Not literally perfect, but really damn good. Lord Taco is on his way back to get the pencil eraser. AndyPerfect neglecting to pick up the skip sandwich. You need the skip sandwich in the full glitchless run, or you need to get one from somewhere else. However, you could pick up that skip sandwich and use it during the Boogey percent run. Dodge enemies would be preferential to despawning them, or if you never see a good opportunity for it, I guess you can go faster. But I think the more popular option is to still pick up that skip sandwich. But it's runner's choice. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's kind of just preference. You save time by not picking it up, so I mean there is value in that as well. $43.25 Paula joined for Andy, so Andy is screaming along on this run. And here's the menu to set up for the Death Warp. Drop your defensive items because you don't want extra defense, and drop that teddy bear because you definitely don't want him soaking attacks from presumably a mole. There are some other options to Death Warp. You could Death Warp off crows if your HP is low enough. I would probably really only recommend it if Ness is in like single digits, honestly, because the crows are at best going to hit him for like 2. But it's an option, and it has been done. Mole playing rough is probably your easiest to reach and probably your best choice in general. But if for some reason he's uncooperative or you don't trust him, you can walk a little bit further in, catch a bear, or even just a large spawn group and let them try to do it instead. And a very good death warp for Andy as well. That was not not quite perfect, but pretty close. Dr. Bear himself. There's a cop just off screen there, and they come with two dogs in Tucson. One of the dogs was running away, one was not. That's kind of based on your level. Uh, and depending on your level, they have a small chance to run away, or a large chance to run away, or they're guaranteed to run away. Or they're guaranteed to always come fight you. So you may be in that sweet spot level where some of them come and fight you, but not all of them. Lord Taco just barely getting caught by the spinning robo. Not great, but he does have enough psychic points that as long as he plays this safe, it shouldn't be a big deal. It will mean catching an extra butterfly, though, most likely. Not a big deal. Oh, yeah. That 111 BBR last week. Just got to practice your RNG so that your all 5 rockets hit of a big bottle rocket. For those that don't know, Jeff gets items that he can use. He can shoot bottle rockets. He can also shoot big bottle rockets and multi-bottle rockets. A big bottle rocket is just 5 bottle rockets. A multi-bottle rocket is just 20 bottle rockets. And the game's going to decide how many of those bottle rockets hit. It's math based on the difference between enemy speed and Jeff's speed. And then it will determine the damage based on how many bottle rockets hit. So a BBR hitting for 100-ish damage means that 1 of 5 bottle rockets hit, which is atrocious. And Andy got the 5 cutscene here. Lord Taco also going with the typical route here for preparing for this cultist fight. I say typical, you do have another option. There is a hard hat on the north side of Peaceful Rest Valley that you can go pick up as well. There was a time in the meta where it was popular when we were manipulating Onet, but not going past Onet, like into Tucson or anything. You were a little bit lower on defense because you didn't have as many levels, and the hard hat was kind of a way to shore up your missing points, and also to not have to reset and do the manip over again. So if you want to play it extra safe, you can still go up and get that hard hat. But Lord Taco, especially if he is observing the race, would probably want to just do the faster strat here. Alright, let's see this cultist fight. 2 bashes, that's very typical, and that's okay. That is well within what can be handled, and Rockin did not take out a crow, but did take out a cultist, so that's pretty solid, actually. Opting to bash the other cultist, I would agree with that. That's a very good way to handle this cultist fight. So Lord Taco should also have an embarrassment of psychic points. Okay. got the random butterfly spawn in the cave. You can take advantage of that and just heal up and get all your psychic points. Now you really do have an embarrassment of psychic points. Can't even hold them all. Yeah, there you go. Where's the PSI caramel? Oops, why can't I hold all of these psychic points? Oh, he can. He got 40 psychic points. I take it back. He can hold them all. You have 40 psychic points. What do you do against Carping with 40 psychic points? I guess you just spam rockin'. Just rockin' 4 times. Good lord, just go to town. I'd do it. I wouldn't even set up for the Death Warp. I'd just rock it 4 times. What's he gonna do? Stop me. Go ahead. AndyPerfect, welcome in. Yep, opening with a rockin'. Strongly agree with that. And a reflect. This guy's a chump. Oh, opted to bash. I would rock. Yeah, just keep rocking and until he puts up that psychic shield. I think Lord Taco was concerned about taking another death. The life up there was not necessary, and yeah, you missed the window for another rockin', but that's okay. You should not have an issue getting through this. No problem in the graveyard for Andy. Did not opt to talk to the lady. It's not -1 RE point, that's just an observation. Taco is going to get the skip sandwich there. Oh, I see. He's gonna drop things to get the skip sandwich. I don't know if I would drop things to get the skip sandwich, but it's still an ace in your sleeve if you wind up with enemies that you want to run around, so. I would still call that Rudder's preference. So good lord, we're starting winters at like what, 52, 45-ish? This is a speedy run for Andy. Our Taco's going to be doing the Death Warp here. He's not quite as well set up for it as Andy was, but it's not horrible. Lord Taco did not get the mole spawn. That is very uncommon. If I didn't get the mole spawn myself, I think I would just walk to the right and walk to the bear. But you can walk out the door and get a new mole. That works. And he opens with an attack on Paula. That's pretty decent. And he made himself confused. There it is. Oh, but he hits nuts. All right, all right. One more hit like that would do it. And there it is. Easy game. That was what, one turn short of ideal for Lord Taco going into that Death Warp? Pretty good Death Warp. Taco's not withdrawing money. I assume that he has enough to revive Paula. Probably does, especially since we don't buy refreshing herbs in this. Yep. Alright, Taco's going to be cleaning up the next few plot points, so let's take a look at Andy doing this walk through Winters here. He's got the Bubble Monkey behind him now. You can see what Bubble Monkey does. He kind of follows you for a little bit and then gets confused and wanders around. So he's a huge pain when you're trying to walk around away from not get into a fight with enemies. But spawns were pretty clear on this walk, and right through here, your first time through Winters, you don't really have to worry about spawns on this path. So clean walk for Andy. The old fuzzy pickles. It's alright, that's just the setup for down bus. Everybody talks about left bus and right bus. No, down bus. Just a small detail, but I'm going to point it out. Andy pausing briefly before hitting this trigger. The Bubble Monkey was lagging behind, so if you hit this trigger and Bubble Monkey's still way back there, he will, from where he's standing, float up super slowly over to Tessie. So you really want to make sure Bubble Monkey's behind you, or you can waste a bunch of time that way. Oh my god, what is that on Lord Taco's screen? It's so fast! That's crazy! Alright, we should see a little bit of special movement here from Andy. You'll notice he won't take the shortest path, I hope. He should walk down left and then come back to the right a bit. And this movement will get rid of a goat that would have spawned right there, where he's standing right there. So, very useful because goats are not fun to have to fight. They do 1 trillion damage. It's way worse than this protoplasm that's also not fun to fight. So Lord Taco did the show first and is now finishing the other plot points. Okay. I missed that part. I think this has to be a little inefficient, but not the end of the world. Andy getting through the little dungeon man puzzle room. What do we call this room? I don't even remember. Getting past the protoplasm, no problem. And Mad Dog can actually be a huge jerk if he wants to, but not today. Brick Road, thank you. See, he's trying to set up for the second proto skip, and Monkey decided to stop in the middle of the path, so there you go. Not what you can do about that. But Jeff has a couple levels now, so the protoplasms are less scary. And this last proto just doesn't want to go down. Smash from Bubble Monkey. There we go. It was almost still a death there. I would have started to debate running away on that last round, except Andy probably had a hunch that the only had one attack to go. Taco doing the loop-to-loop bus. Ooh, the double loop-to-loop. The double. Andy having a little trouble getting let into Pond Cave here. So there's not a lot you can do about that. The spawn tiles aren't 100%, but they are pretty likely. The enemies in this first room here are all stutterable. However, you can get yourself into a bad situation if you hit all of the spawn tiles along the way. Even if you're a great stutterer, there can just be so many enemies that it becomes almost impossible. Put a mushroom here on the second room, and that works out because you can just kind of walk right past him. There can also be a mushroom in that second little alcove of the second area, and then you wind up pickled between two mushrooms. So, personally, having gotten into that situation, once again, one of those 1 million dumb ways to die things, yes, I kind of prefer to despawn that mushroom. But I recognize that it's not the fastest choice. Still a pretty good Ponke for Andy so far. It's a little bit faster when walking left to right to that bottle rocket to tell Bubble Monkey when he's right under the rope to go up there and get it instead of walking back up to it from the bottom because he has to float up a little bit farther. Not a big deal. Just a very, very small thing to point out. Taco's graveyard is full of enemies. However, I think it looks pretty safe, actually, like deceptively. All those enemies can't really get around the gravestones. So that part was all safe. Now he just has to get these last few spawn tiles here. Apex Corvid, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome in. Call in the... Oh, we got a burr with popcorn. Let's go. Andy starting the Skyrunner cutscene. Only two things stand between Andy and victory. Random spawns in 3, it's not impossible. Seen that be kind of disastrous. And the Boogey tent itself. Final Fantasy randos, I'm in. I used to do a lot of free enterprise for a while. I had the bug. I also did the Final Fantasy Tactics rando for a little while too. All right, so I know it's probably just me, but the little lightning bolts that come off the top of the UFO when it's doing its ba-bang noise, uh, it looks like it says Kiss to me, like the band. Probably just me. Both runners just currently picking up some plot points here. Lord Taco's got a long way to go, but there is plenty of randomness in Earthbound. Anything can happen. It is not over until it is over. Andy getting past the Jeff Joy trigger, very important. Andy also taking the teddy bear for safety. The teddy bear is, 75% likely to take an incoming attack when he's in your party and an enemy bashes or uses like a thing that targets kids. So, very nice to have as a backup. Not a guarantee, just nice to have. Alright, so let's see it. Defend, BBR. Boogie 10 opens with a defense spray. 417 from Jeff for Boogie 10, so not quite lethal, but fairly close. And a rocket and a bottle rocket will clean this up. So Andy will mash through some text here, but it will be GG's for Andy. Andy will be moving on to the next round of the brackets. Andy will have to wait just a little bit, I think, here. On his end of the bracket, there is a match between Attack Slug and Mick McGurk that needs to be resolved. The winner of that match will be playing against Rain. And then the winner of that match will be playing against AndyPerfect. Looks like an official time of 1:07:44 in the race time GG room. That is a very solid Boogie percent time. So GG's to Andy. Or Taco. Gonna be finishing up here, looks like. And depending on how Concave goes, Lord Taco has 5, 6-ish minutes probably. Which, I mean, considering taking a strong death is pretty good time as well, honestly. And he's going for the 310 glitch here. Let's see if we get anything fun or interesting out of this. No debug menu. You know, I think Buck Bumble got straight into that debug menu. It's like we're on the old infinite queues. A queue of queues, if you will. You have a question, I have an answer. A. Alright, let's see this first fight for Taco. Hey, there was a gap in those queues. I'm telling Mom. Okay. Back to the queues. Okay. Oh. No problem with the first proto for Taco. Gonna go for the duck skip. Going for the duck skip, looks like. Duck is in a semi-cooperative place. It's possible. Taco kind of deciding to bail. It's not impossible to skip duck when he's there, but if he happens to look up, yeah, you can't really get through. This Mad Duck, it's actually pretty scary when you're at 10 HP. If Mad Duck attacks, it will be lethal, but Mad Duck, I think, has 6 moves, and only one of them is an attack, so... 4 or 6 moves. But that Peck is not messing around. Alright, so no problem in Brick Road for Taco. No skips, but no deaths either. So let's see what Pond Cave has in store. Yeah, looks like Lord Taco's also going to go for a clean cave entrance and got it second try. Pretty good, honestly. Hey, wait a minute. Has duck toes? Wait, what? Yeah, you bought a cold. You bought a cold remedy. I heard the sound effect. Yeah, pretty uneventful pound cave for Lord Taco. Oh, now I get to wonder. Did the game blow up? Did Andy shut off stream? It played stair noises. Use your sound stone. No, I said use your sound stone, not get a magic butterfly. and Lord Taco on the Skyrunner. Ugh, excuse me. Let's get together in 10 years or so. Father of the Year award goes to. What, instead of, yeah, I want a donut too. Isn't it the plain roll is actually the good roll versus the bread roll? Like, plain roll recovers way more than bread roll. I'm sorry, I'm up way late compared to normal. Oh yeah, yeah, it does, doesn't it? Because you gotta use a horn of life to get it. It's $1780. You right. When you write, you write. I'll probably just make some regular old toast in the morning. Put some butter on it, or maybe some peanut butter. That'll be about it. Let's see it. Lord Taco gets past Jeff Joy. Attempts to place bread roll inside of door. There's the bag key machine. No spawns in the graveyard. They can get you. Don't. You gotta be on your game as soon as you step up those stairs. They can be spawns almost on top of you. Dodging the Pumpkin Kid and Smiling Sam. That's a good use for the skip sandwich. All right, and we're in it for the fight on Boogie Tent. Let's see it. We get the sub 120 despite a strong death and the Yes Man Jr. death. An attack, but it's on the teddy bear. That's why you get the teddy bear. 486. Not perfect, but pretty darn good. So, yep, a rocket and bottle rocket should definitely clean it up if they both hit. And there you have it. So GG's to Lord Taco. Stuck it out through 2 deaths in the run. One pretty painful one, honestly. Unfortunately, I think Boogie percent is single elimination, so I believe Lord Taco will be out for this year. But he is a pretty new runner, and he had a good showing this tournament. So congratulations, Lord Taco. And I hope to see more Earthbound. Yeah, not to mention PBs and races too. That's a special kind of spicy. So yeah, GG's Lord Taco, GG's to Andy, who will be moving on to the tournament. Several matches that need to occur before we actually know who Andy will be playing next. So it'll be several folks races before we see that. And let's see, we have at least 2 races scheduled for tomorrow. I see 7 p.m. Eastern is the first one, 6 p.m. Central. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for more Boogie Percent Tournament races. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good night.